Hey, what's up everybody? Eric here. I am hiking out on Draper Road. Well, what used to be Draper Road. It's not much of a road anymore. It's not used for anything other than ATVs in here. Yeah, I'm in Draper Road. I think I'm technically in Chesterfield. I think the Swansea line is probably about a mile from me. It's really kind of like out where all the borders kind of intersect, and there's nothing really out here. Well, which is kind of funny because actually this used to be all fields. So as you can see, I mean, there's rock walls lining the road. So people did live out here. There used to be houses out here, but there are no longer. And these used to all be fields, which is just crazy that, you know, this was completely abandoned. But I love hiking in these places. There's an old cemetery not far from me. It's just a small one. But there's no paved roads anywhere near where I am at the moment. I mean, hold on, my watch is going off here. Yeah, I got it. So, like, the closest paved road is probably 3/4 of a mile from where I am. So I just, probably watch where I'm going. I just love kind of walking out on these old roads that used to be used, and then for whatever reason, they were abandoned. And like I said, it's not like this was a road that nobody lived on. There you find like foundations in, you know, a few places out here. So there used to be buildings out here. So people did live out here. Like I said, that there was a cemetery. They're not going to go, you know, a mile into the woods to bury people. They're going to make the cemetery near where they live. So I'm just curious, like, how many houses were here? I see, you know, plots of land, you know, divided by stone walls, which is very typical for those who don't know. It's kind of a New England thing for the most part. But we have stone walls everywhere because the soil is usually pretty rocky. So when they're clearing the fields, they need to put them somewhere, so they use them to build walls, basically. So we have, you know, this old stone wall that keeps going, and then you'll see stone walls run out perpendicular away from the road, which is usually how they would mark kind of like their property line. So I mean, that's a pretty typical thing that you see. But, you know, like I said, I am so far out here in the woods. There are no buildings out here. There's just some foundations made of rock that are left. But one thing you do notice, as you can see in the background, all these trees are not very old. Really, these trees are all probably, you know, 70, 80 years old at the most, except for some really big ones that you'll see. So like right here, this one behind me, but this is along the road, which is really typical. They would leave up the big trees along the road as well. But yeah, I mean, this is just all fields. People used to farm out here, which is just insane. It's just really fun kind of walking these. There's a lot of roads like this. I'm not far from Pisgah State Park, which again, same thing. There are tons of roads that run through that are no longer used. They're now ATV trails or just hiking paths at this point. But there are tons of foundations out there. And what's kind of cool is they have put up a lot of like historical markers just out in the woods saying, you know, this was such and such a house established in, you know, 1805, but you don't see anything. There's nothing there. It's just woods and maybe a little bit of a rock foundation. Then like right across the street. It's like, this is such and such's lumber yard. It's like, but I'm like 3 miles from the closest paved road and town. You know, the closest town center is probably about 5 miles from where I was. And then you come across a huge cemetery that's got, you know, at least like 100 headstones. And it's like, wow, there used to be a town right here, and now it's gone. And there's all these other town centers nearby that have buildings that are just as old. The towns were established, you know, in the late 1700s, or even earlier. Like the town I live in was like 1720s or whatever. And those survived, but this little settlement right here that I'm walking past or walked through is gone. The settlement that is where Pisgah State Park is now is gone. It's just, and it's not even that long ago. I mean, you're talking in less than 200 years. Even though that there are towns right around and there's population centers that were established and were always there. I don't know. I just kind of find it really interesting. That's why I like hiking around in areas like this. Out in New England, there's just a lot of abandoned places, just for various reasons. But I don't know on this particular settlement why it was abandoned. But I think it's technically in what is now Chesterfield, so I don't know. Maybe I can find something at the Historical Society or something. So that's it. Just kind of wanted to share my thoughts while I was out here. See you later.